This week we saw the unveiling of the Model Y, S, and 3S, and there was a lot of speculation about what we could possibly see in that lead up. Could it be something radical, something exciting, or just a car? Well, we're going to go over some of the greater theories and worse theories and explain why they did or didn't make sense. I got Nick here with me from Investing Against the Grain. He's got his own YouTube channel. He does great work. You can head over there. He's allowed me to tell you that you can subscribe to him for free on YouTube. He will not charge for a limited time. Get it while it's hot. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So we saw this. This was a lot of fun. What could it mean? It could mean anything. It's got the sound of a jet engine roaring over it. We saw some crazy theories. What theories did you see? What theories did you hear? What was your theory?
Oh yeah, let me give you my theories because something that I preach a lot about is to not listen to people who don't admit when they're wrong. If it's anyone in YouTube, X sphere, whatever, talking about investing, if they don't ever talk about their mistakes, don't listen to them. So let me own up first to where I was wrong.
Legacy media too. The analysts out there who will not own their failures should not be trusted.
Yeah. So yeah, let me tell you my theories that were completely unequivocally wrong. First, my first instinct, which I think a lot of people also thought was like, before I even heard it or anything, I was like, I was like waking up and I saw him I got excited. I was like, oh, is this an HVAC? Ironically, I had HVAC in my mind because I was just rewiring my own AC unit the other day. So I added a new little float switch to it. The previous float switch failed, so it will never fail again. Anyways, so it happens we have an engineer who over-engineers their AC wiring. Poor 24-volt system. So when I saw that, my mind was already geared for HVAC, especially the way it was sitting on the side. And I was like, oh man, Tesla's going to get more of my money because I'm going to be the first one to buy this. And so when I opened it up and I looked at it, it was like, okay, no, this is not an HVAC unit. And the reason I thought that first was because what appeared to me to be impellers, they were shaped interestingly, meaning everyone talked about the wobble you could see. And obviously there's no real wobble there, no matter what it is. There's not going to be a real wobble. But what can give a lot of times the impression of a wobble is when you have the impellers slightly offset, which is done. I think Apple is one of the first companies to really use this in tech. They did it for their fans inside their laptops so that it would be quieter. So there's a lot of different performance that you can get from doing a actual offset on them, but it gives the illusion of a wobble. And so when I saw that, my mind was thinking, oh, maybe this is something more performant. And you could kind of see on the barrier, if you slow it real down, there's one part where you can see it's oh, this isn't really that big. And so it made me think that this was going to be a fan motor of some sort. You throw in that sound there. That sound sounds almost like a turbine ramping up, getting to that high pitch. You can kind of hear it, and if you have a Model Y, you can hear the winding up. Exactly. If you've ever, part of my background is in nuclear engineering, and so with that, you deal with a lot of gas turbines, and so this also how gas turbines sound. I hear the sound that's also influencing me, and then you see what looks to be, obviously now we know it's just decorative, but all those on the what I'm calling impellers, all those little what you would call dimples, you actually do that in some high performance impellers. And the reason you do that is for, there's lots of reasons why you do it. But if you think of a golf ball, right? A golf ball has all little dimples for better aerodynamics. And what it does, it creates a turbulent layer of air around the ball, and it reduces overall drag and increases lift and all that. And so that started to make me think, okay, does this have something to do with the Roadster? It is towards the end of the year. We did hear we're going to get something. Elon's talked a lot about drones lately. Does this have something to do with drones? kind of makes sense. Could be he's been talking about, Kimball's been talking about it. They've been having drones at all the events lately, so that's where my head went. Potentially
Mhm.
HVAC, then it could be for the roadster, and then drones. And
Yes.
I was wrong.
So for me, I first saw it on my phone, and on my phone, it's very small. It's very tricky to see. So then when I got it on my giant screen and blew it up and slowed it down, what I noticed was there's no openings in it to allow the passage of air, which to me ruled out just about everything. It can't be for lift. It can't be for pushing air. A lot of people were saying that. And then I had, boy, just some real crazy responses on X. People saying, fan blades on my ceiling fan don't have a hole. I'm like, right. The sweep of it has to be the whole sweep of the area of the fan we're talking about. This would be a shredder. This would just kind of shred the air a little bit. It wouldn't pass it through it.
Yeah, but keep in mind, an impeller works differently than a fan, right?
There
An
has to be
impeller,
a through it though.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that could be internally. So like a pump has
Mm,
impellers that move the water. You don't necessarily see it. It's grabbing, it's cupping the water and folding
mhm,
it down, and
mm.
so you wouldn't have been able to
So
see that. So that was
what I'd
not
said
that I thought
was
it was a boat. I didn't think it was a boat.
right. What I'd said was this doesn't look like a wheel, and I said that because it doesn't have a center hub. And then people went just bonkers, and I said, no, no, no. Let me clarify. It looks like a wheel cover. This is a cover on an 18-inch affordable wheel. A wheel so cheap that it needs a cover. And then we got into the people saying it's definitely going to be the EV, the VTOL, the electric VTOL,
Oh my god, these
and it's going to be
vehicles!
with Archer Aviation. And I saw people buying shares. I was like,
Shut
oh,
up. Are you
that's
serious right now?
yes.
Are you serious?
Yes. I mean, the stock doubled over the course of that day, and Archer Aviation didn't say anything.
Why
Um,
would they?
why would they? Why would they? And there was, and then people started posting pictures. Here is the Archer plane, flying vehicle, drone next to the Cybercap. I'm like, right, but that was at the Up Summit last week. So they just had adjacent booths at an expo. That doesn't mean they're partners. And Elon has been very vocal in opposition to the idea of traditional flying cars. Now, maybe the Roadster can fly for a very short time because of downforce being reversed into upforce or whatever the reason may be. We know BYD's Yang Wang U9 can technically hop,
Jump. Yeah.
but not for customers, only in demos. But that is different than, as Elon explains, if you lose a hubcap in the air, you can kill someone. If you lose an entire wheel while driving, you can come to a safe stop. So those, what did you think when you saw that speculation about that very specific company?
I honestly I didn't see it at all. But
Good.
I would have pushed that off. So something that I believe pretty strongly is that partnerships never go well. Um, Not saying they can't go well. You got the like very fringe examples. The best one I could think of is Microsoft giving an injection to Apple back in the early
Mm,
2000s. Um, Obviously, Tesla's had some okay relationships with the battery manufacturers. I would say not great personally, but I think they've done decent. Um,
mm-hmm.
but in general, when I see companies partnering up together, it's always a flop. Whether that's all the OEMs themselves partnering with battery manufacturers, all the OEMs partnering with China, all the OEMs trying to find a autonomy company to work with, whether
Someone
in
always ends up screwed.
yeah, or it just doesn't work because you have two
Yeah.
clashing of cultures that don't know how to. I mean, it's hard enough when one company acquires another to have a successful merger. Even to this day, Dell bought a company called EMC, and EMC people within Dell still call themselves EMC, not Dell, right? Like you still have a clash of cultures to this day. So it's hard enough. And so like I'll tell you right now, all this NVIDIA with OpenAI and AMD and all that, to me, not going to go well unless it's just strictly investment with dollars. I don't think it goes well. But so if I would have seen that, and then to your point, I agree with Elon. I think the idea of EV tolls they're good and bad. They're very, very bad for Tesla getting into that because it's not enough of a TAM. They will be really good for people who I think don't necessarily have to be very wealthy, but are kind of like in a, upper class, uh, more wealthy than not, but not stupid rich. I think there's going to be a use case there for them to get from point A to point B off top of roofs. I think there is a
Sure.
market for that, but you're
Is
gonna
the
have to
quickest way to
fly
get from your private jet to your
straight
golf
line.
course?
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, it's
it's
perfect for that.
yeah, but you're gonna have to fly in certain restricted areas, right?
Hmm.
You can't just fly anywhere. There's designated zones. Um, you you have a noise problem. You have a downward force of air problem. You have the column that you can actually move through in space. It's not as high as what Elon would say is underground. Obviously, we know that. And then you also have the problems of weather. I used to work on ships out in the Gulf of America now, but out in the Gulf of Mexico, deep out there. I used to work on ships, and every time to get to work and to come home from work, I'd have to fly in a helicopter. If they don't have visibility of like 2 to 5 miles, you're not taking off.
Mm.
If there's
Mm.
any weather, you're not taking off. And there's lots of headaches with it. Underground, you don't have any of those issues. So I think, and that's just starting off. Like the problems start to stack up, and then again, the TAM's just not there for it to be worth for a 1.7 whatever $1 trillion company to be investing towards. It doesn't
Mhm.
make sense. It's essentially a side hobby project for the intern at that point.
So I'm going to agree with all of that and admit one place where I got my analysis wrong. I got to see an EV VTOL in Nepal at the auto show, and I was ready to make a video. I'd started writing it saying, okay, fine. They're pushing forward. Xiaopeng's got a factory that can make 10,000 a year. I will make the case for it. And the case I was going to make is, look, if drones can fly reliably, this is just a drone, but with higher redundancies and safety specs. And while I was still writing it, two of them crashed into each other at a show in China, and everyone died. I was like, okay, it's
Oh,
back
don't
off.
know. I feel bad laughing for someone who died. It was
It's
funny up
off.
until that point.
Yeah. And it is unfortunate, but I don't see the people who can afford that means of transit being interested in that degree of risk. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, and
I,
what
yeah.
one of my idols growing up was Kobe Bryant. Like
Mm,
from
mm,
mentality
mm,
to just I
mm,
was a big basketball guy. So when he passed away, I'll never forget. I was working at a tech company. Well, actually headquartered at Silicon Valley, but their second office was in Research Triangle, over like where Larry Goldberg lives.
mhm.
And I was there just driving, and I heard the news, and man, I had to like pull over. It was just so heartbreaking what happened to them. But yeah, no, the risk is high.
The risk is high. And I will go ahead and give you a chuckle and say that I had a similar experience with a celebrity dying in an unfortunate plane crash, but mine was John Denver. So that was a little while ago. But
It,
it is, you'd think avoidable. You're taking some risks. So moving on from, I will say that
this morbid topic.
in terms of mergers and acquisitions, Tesla has had success with Maxwell Industries and Groman, Maxwell Technologies and Groman Industries, to acquire battery manufacturing and automation and a bunch of patents they needed. But those are the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and those are very small companies with
Mhm.
like 20 to 30 people type size companies. It's easy at that point to be like, hey, like they're excited to be acquired. They don't have egos like,
Right.
oh hell yeah, we're gonna be part of Tesla. Versus some of these other companies are like, yeah, we're fine before we got acquired, and then you see, hey, we don't need two HR departments. We don't need two sets of middle
Sure.
tier managers. And you start seeing people get fired or laid off, let go. It just changes the culture. You don't have that in that type of situation.
And in those companies, they had established products that were in the market that Tesla already needed anyway.
Hmm.
Let's just buy them.
Exactly.
Save some time. Okay, so then we saw uh, the speculation, and we probably finish on this one, but Roadster. I mean, I was hopeful. I hoped that there would be a second thing. I didn't know it was going to be the 3S, uh, but I didn't know it. I mean, is Roadster ever going to happen? Was that crazy speculation? I don't think it was crazy.
I think it's happening. I think the best time for it, like what better than Christmas time, the holiday season, bring out a bright red roadster, it's a nice way to cap off the year. I think it's nice, it's festive, it's fun. So I'm hoping, what a boy can
I'm
dream, right?
hopeful for that. I'm hopeful for
Yeah.
that. I will say the other reason I figured it had to be, I thought the second thing more realistically would have been the YL,
Mm,
because we know the engineering is done. It wouldn't be too challenging. It's just not the right time. But the fact that Kyle Connor was on the invite list told me it's a car.
yeah.
You can invite Sawyer for anything. You can invite him for FSD, for robots, for anything, and it makes sense. But for Kyle Connor, it needs to have four wheels, or at least wheels.
It's
Um,
a good call.
yeah, but that doesn't mean the one more thing couldn't have been something that isn't a car.
There wasn't even an announcement. Like, what? Who just showed up, and that was it. It was kind of underwhelming. It's like all this 10.7, this amp up, and then it's like you don't even hear from anyone. Nothing. Like I thought the Cybertruck, announced delivery event was underwhelming. This was even more underwhelming.
Indeed, indeed. Um, so, for those who don't know, I'm going to be in Tampa the week, middle of November for Cyberfest and Furious. It's going to be last year, the Cyberfest and Furious was held at, well, it was Cyberfest. This is the sequel. So, of course, it's more Furious. This last year, it was held at a dirt track where you could climb and get your Cybertruck dirty. This year, it's at the racetrack. It is at the Showtime Speedway in Clearwater. And you can bring your Tesla and take it on the track. There are different prices for different levels of participation. You can find it at cyberfestfurious.com. It is going to be wild. And yeah, I will, after we're off air, I will share my dates, but I think it's 13th to 18th is when I'm in town. Guys, come on out and see me there. And if you're in Tampa generally, say hello. Let me know. Guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Head over to Nick's channel. Find out how you can invest against the grain. And everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy. Smack all those buttons, would you? Would you subscribe? You never call, you never write. Just subscribe. Everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots in Clearwater, I guess.